Hello. Yesterday you did a problem with gravitational potential energy, and I'm just going to show you how I would do that problem. I want you to remember that you need to always show your work when you're doing these problems. You will not get credit for not showing work. Okay, so um, let's take a look at that problem. I'm going to just read to you what it said. It's talked about a skateboarder who was 50 kilograms and who was 4 meters above the ground. And that skateboarder, we were supposed to find the gravitational potential energy in that skateboarder. Okay, so how would you do that problem? Well, the first thing you should do is you should try to think about the big idea. It's like, okay, I'm trying to find gravitational potential energy. So I'm going to write that down here. I'm going to write gravitational potential energy. Okay. And I know that that's what I'm supposed to find. So I'm putting a question mark there. So I keep it in my mind that that's what I'm looking for. And then after I do that, I'm thinking, okay, so if I'm trying to find gravitational potential energy, I probably should write down what my equation is going to be. Okay. And so I'm going to write that gravitational potential energy equals mass times gravity times the height. Okay, and those are multiplied together. So you can have parentheses if you want, but you don't need to have parentheses. You can just multiply them as they are. Okay, and then we also know, and we can take from our problem, we can write down the things that we actually know about for this problem. Now, you can make a list of those, and I'm not actually going to for this problem only because this problem is pretty straightforward, but I am going to, and I have them written here, the things that I need, but I am going to rewrite this equation when I solve the problem. Rewrite the whole equation to show what's in there, okay? So I have the gravitational potential energy equals the mass, and you know that the mass for this person was 50 kilograms. Now this time I'm going to write it in parentheses because I know that the 50 kilograms goes, or the 50 and the kilograms go together. And then the next thing here is G, and it didn't say anything about G in our problem. Well, how can we figure out what G might be? Well, we know that G is the acceleration due to gravity, or it's really telling us how strong Earth's gravity is. And that's a number that we wrote down in our notebook. Um, and we're going to guard it forever and keep careful track of it. But it is 10 meters per second. Every second is the gravitational acceleration on Earth. So that's G. And so I can write that there. And then lastly, I need to know the height. And the problem told us that the height was 4 meters. So I'm going to write my 4 meters. Okay. And now looking at that, I can just do that one in my head. 50 times 10 is 500, times 4 is 2,000. So I'm going to write that over here. It's 2,000. And I have to include my units on there. Kilogram, meter, sorry, I'm just going to write kilograms, meters per second, times meters. Now, I know that these things right here are actually, that's what a Newton is an abbreviation for. And so I'm going to write that this is a Newton, and that's a meter. So I'm going to write again under here, gravitational potential energy equals 2,000 newtons times meters, which equals 2,000 joules. You should know that a Newton meter is equal to a joule, and you should know that these are a Newton, okay? So you're going to be able to come up with Newton meters and joules. When you give me a problem like this, guys, you either need to write it using the keyboard like this, and that's kind of hard to do, to write all this using your keyboard, okay? And you would not have to write Newton meters and joules. You'd have to write one or the other. You got to tell me what the answer is, and you got to write the units on there. But you don't have to write both of those, but you got to write the rest so that I can see what your thought process was, how you used the equation. Okay? So my suggestion is that you just take a photo of your whiteboard or a notebook, then take a snip of that photo and put it into your assignment.